What's up? Clap on. So, watch this movie, right? Called 1001. And excuse me. And it's a good movie, right? But it's reminding me and reiterating narcissism, right? How it is prevalent in not only our community, this the world that we live in, right? Um and it begins from, narcissistic parents, right? Um Parents that have trauma, right? That have abusive tendencies, that have just all type of different workings going on, right? Especially in the mental, right? And then they treat, like, say for instance, mothers, right? Narcissistic mothers, they treat their, especially their sons, okay? They treat their sons like they're their man, right? Um, like there was just this scene from the movie, right? And I can attest to this because my mother is a full blown narcissist. Um, but the son was trying to he was gifted, right? And he was she took him from the hospital, right? Long story short, she took him from the hospital because he was in foster care and he hurt himself or he got hurt or whatever, and raised him under a false name, right? Moved to a whole new other city, and he grew up, and there came a time where he's trying to get into college, and he doesn't have his real paperwork, birth certificate, none of that, right? Because he's under a false name. And so the mom is like, what was you gonna do? Leave me? Right? This boy is 2 weeks from being 18, right? And he's gifted. And she says, what were you gonna do? Leave me? You plan on leaving me? It is the job of the parent to raise the child, okay? Take care of the child, show the child the direction that that child should go, right? And especially when that child is no longer a child, but a young man or a young woman, right? You have parents that will hold their own children back, hold their own children down because they didn't get to take those steps that their child is taking, right? Or they're jealous of their child, right? Or any other, reasons that they try to make make sense to them. You know what I'm saying? I could never ever even be so selfish to hold my own child back. You know what I'm saying? Like there was times when my mom faked my death, right? To try to collect military insurance. She faked said that I was said that I had a brain tumor at one point in time. Faked that she had cancer. Like, you know what I've learned, like over all of this time, right? Over my whole life up until now, the thing that I've learned in depth and for certain is human behavior. Okay, the difference between healed and unhealed human behavior, the mindset of a healed and an unhealed person. and the type of human behavior that exhibits and that allows. And it's such a generational curse, and curse is that it's all people know and it's all that they're willing to stick with. It's all that they're willing to be, to do. Like I remember the times when it felt like I was trying to get somewhere and I couldn't, right? It was like this invisible force that was just keeping me from taking the steps that I wanted to take, right? It was always some invisible force, right? The enemy, of course. But looking back now, right? All of the, drugs my grandma fed me coming up, um, all of the non-boundaries that I had growing up, right? From learned behavior, abandonment issues, putting myself in dangerous situations as a teenager, and even younger than that, just from my environment and what I was used to. Beloved, I put myself in a lot of dangerous positions that I would otherwise had not been in had I not been had I had not been handled and being handled by my family members, right? My mom, my grandma, uh, everybody in my family, except for my grandfather, right? I've talked about my grandfather, you guys, a lot, except for my grandfather. Even though he knew that it was bad for me to want to chase my mom around when I was growing up, because you know what kid doesn't want their mother, right? He let me make those decisions. He did. He did. And at one point, he told me no. He told me no. You can't chase after your mother. No, but there came a certain point. There came a certain age where he knew that my mind wasn't going to change. Right. No matter how many times I left, I came back, and I left and came back a lot, a lot, all throughout my childhood, all the way up until like I think I was like 16. I think the last time I was living with my grandpa, I think I was 16, 17, or something like that. And my grandpa would let me fly the net, fly the coop, nest, whatever you want to call it. He would let me go out and explore. Do you know how much I had I used to be in the most random type situations. Like I would move from state to state whenever I got tired of being there, right? I would run from my problems, right? And just move. That's what I was used to, right? That's how my mom we would move every 6 months, every year. We would move somewhere different, right? I've been to so many elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, continuation schools. I've been to so many schools, lived in so many different states before I was even, you know, out of adolescence. Had quite a few adventures. I would say myself. And I wouldn't change none of it. I wouldn't. I've had the most craziest experiences you guys would ever even uh, just crazy. Random things happened to me, good and bad, but they always ended up good in the end. But point I was getting on here to make is there are generations of people being raised by narcissists, full blown narcissists, and some people that were chosen in their families to do this job that we're doing, breaking these generational curses so that our kids don't have to deal with none of the things that we had to deal with, don't have to deal with none of the toxicity that we had to deal with. Why? Because we're nipping it in the butt now. 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 That takes thought, that takes fortitude, that takes ambition, that takes consistency. It takes drive, boldness, courage. It takes for you to think about the kids that you don't even have yet. You hear what I'm saying? I
Good
think
morning.
I think of good morning. I don't know her name, but she says that a lot. But I think about my kids that don't have my kids that I don't have yet, right? And their kids, which will be my grandkids and my great grandkids and my great great all the way down. I think about that. I think about that when I'm making my when I am making decisions every day for myself because I know my decisions today will affect my generations moving forward, right? This is something that I think about on a constant, right? And to be honest, I stress myself out thinking about it sometimes, right? Because I know how my kids are going to be raised and I know how they're not going to be raised, right? I also understand that while they are not of this world and they will not be of this world, right? They're going to live in it, but they're not going to be of it. You get what I'm saying? They're not going to be of it. All right. So break every messed up, toxic pattern, trait, thought processes. That is the most important thing, their thought process. Because if you don't understand things correctly, if you tell yourself things without having the correct understanding for it, you will lead yourself down a path that you think is right, but it's not. What is it, Holy Spirit? There is a way that seems right to a man, but the end of that way is death. Did we not just have a whole past seasons of people being blind, thinking that they're doing something and thinking that they are being led by the Spirit of God when they were not? They're being led by demons. And how you don't know that? I don't. I'm just. You have to be faking the funk, right? Because you're conjuring demons. You're doing witchcraft. You are doing these things, but on the outside, you're professing to be shy. You're professing to be sweet, a sweet person, a person that cares for others, a person that cares for themselves. But that's not true. It's not true, beloved. It's not. And I'm not talking about